So a little password generator I designed using only a body and what I'm calling a main, although it's not really a main. So here's the body of the code, and here is the main, although it's really just a loop. So this is how it works, what it does, very simple. There's no GUI, it's all in the terminal that it has. As you can see, it is generating random strings of the length that I'm prescribing it, which is obviously the intention here. So how do you go about downloading Python and getting this IDE? Integrated Development Environment is what it stands for. In particular, I'm using idle, which just comes with the download. So here you go, download it. Hold Command and press spacebar to open Spotlight and type in idle to open the application. Now this is the version of idle that I'm using, so make sure you know which one you are using because things change from version to version and update to update. So let's get coding. Now I'm going to start by making a series of lists. There's several ways of going about this. This is just how I happen to write this particular program. I wrote out each letter. There's different ways, you can look it up yourself. I might even go over it in another video. So we have the alphabet, right? Capitalized and lowercase, and the numeric from 0 to 9. This data type is a list. Like I said, it is kind of like a set. I might go into that in another video as well. And then here we have the special characters in a list. So this way, when our random generator goes through, it'll just pick these things at random. There's 3 different categories, right? Alphabet, numeric, and special character. And that's for good reason. So now I'm typing out I'm defining the function. I'm calling it password. In here, we're going to outline the rules that dictate how these numbers generate. And as you can see, I've defined a variable called password that is a blank string. There's no spaces in there. That is so that it can accumulate the different symbols as this function runs. Pass length is another variable using raw input or input, that's because we're not on version 2 of Python, and has a prompt that says, what's the length of password? And now here's a loop that is going to help with this whole randomization process. I will import the random module later after I finish writing the code out. This loop is saying for every element I in the range from 0 to the integer of path length that is input by the user, roll a number from 1 to 3. That's what the randint is, and that's why I'm going to import it later. Now here is an if statement saying if r, this random value, is equal to 1, we'll roll another value, r2, from a range of 0 to the length of alpha, our first list. Now as you can see, there's also a -1 attached right after alpha, and that's for good reason. I'll explain that in a moment. So now our blank password value will be concatenated with. That's what the plus equal is all about. Now as you can see, I did some troubleshooting myself. I had forgotten a lot of the reasons I made the code the way I did. So here I am looking at it, demonstrating. Here's a list called A, and it has these blah, bleep, bloop, right? These 3 elements in it. The len, or the length of the list, is 3, and range is inclusive. So if I go from 0 to 3, that's 0, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 different numbers. That's not what I want, right? If that's confusing, please go ahead and comment or message me, and I will try my best to explain it better for you. So now for these conditionals, I'm going to keep going. This is an else if or an elif Python, right? It's basically going to be the same thing we did with the if statement above, except now this is a condition where if the roll is 2 for the first roll, that's what I'm calling it. It's a random int, random randint, right? This whole thing with the length and the range. Now we're looking at the second list, the numeric list. I just chose to do it this way. So there's 3 lists, 3 different kinds of rolls, and then each one of them has however many characters they have. So alphabet has 46, right? Or 40. Wow, my math is bad. But 26 times 2, right? That's 40, 52, I think. Jeez, Mason. Now the reason I have those square brackets around R2, so it's like alpha square bracket R2 and square bracket, etc., is because alpha, numeric, special, those are all lists. And so to denote a certain element in that list, you put square brackets around it, i.e. alpha square bracket 1 and square bracket is lowercase a if you look at the list in order. So that's basically what's happening. It's going through it randomly. It's creating these random numbers, first 1 through 3, and then goes deeper in these conditionals based on what it is, 1, 2, or 3, and then it'll do a random calculation based on the length minus 1 because of the whole range thing of that element. And the print statement is outside of the loop because I always want to print the numbers. Now, I had an issue here, as you can see, because I was confused why I'd made this PD pass len. It was actually a troubleshooting step I'd made, a testing step initially when I had first written the code about 6 months to a year ago. That's why it's so important to take notes and comments. And if you've noticed those little hashtags, the pound symbol, that is a certain kind of commenting within the code that you can do. I really should have done more commenting when I initially made this. I'm sure I didn't just make all of this up in my mind. I think I imagined part of it, and then definitely for randint, I forgot how that went. So I had to look up some sources. Always source your stuff. It's important to give credit to bloggers, other people that are doing stuff, teaching, helping you out. And then it just shows you know what you're doing and where you got it from. That's what professionals do. Cite your work. Like I didn't. But I will in the future, I promise. So if you wanna, you can definitely skip ahead. This part here is essentially the same block of code. It's just that as you see there's an X instead of just a blank value in the definition. The reason there's an X there is that is a variable. I just used the X. You could put anything. You could say variable. You could whatever you want to say. And that means that when you put it in there, when you type PD pass len bracket some number, that's instead of the raw input, and you'll notice that's why it looks different a little bit at the beginning there. So for the one that's defined as password, parentheses, parentheses, right? That one, you just put that in and it'll prompt you each time you run the code. And then that's why I have that looping main, as I'm calling it, that just keeps calling the function password and allows the prompt to happen over and over again. You don't have to reset it. Whereas this other one was just a piece so I could see, all right, does this work for any length? Is there any issues with different numbers? Yada yada. I don't remember if I even tested it for 0, so it might break at 0. That's what debugging is and coding. These are things that I learned from colleagues and teachers, coworkers, employers. It's really good to listen to people. People have a lot of knowledge. One of the best things you can do in life is to listen. I try to do it. I know I'm not always the best. I have ADHD, man. I'm not ashamed of that anymore. I used to be a lot, but work with what you have. The hand you are dealt is what you're dealt. And be proud of who you are and what you have, because it's unique. Even if it's not the best unique thing, sometimes it might be better than you actually even realize. So I'm going to take this time to kind of overview what's going on here. Just break it down. I know the code's still being written out, right? I recorded the voiceover after I did this. Just experimenting with different ways of video editing, as it were. So, hashtags, pound symbols is a certain kind of comment. And what is a comment? When it comes to coding, a comment is a way to communicate with yourself, your past self, and also other coders, programmers, scripters. You'll see it in every language and every script. It's very important to know how to do it. Why it's so helpful is that it won't run as a code if you comment correctly. Now save your stuff. Oh, run it, and look at that. There's an error. It's pointing me out where the error is, right there. I forgot to put a 1 there, okay? So that's the first error that I found in the code. Like, I wrote this before, I'm rewriting it, I still made a mistake, right? So, okay, la-di-da, doing the import statement up here. I'm commenting that that's an import statements. There's only really one import, which now run the code by holding Fn and pressing F5, or just F5, depending. Sweet, it's working, right? It's prompting me, the little thing that I said in the raw input, and it's making a random string of length 5. Let's try it again. Length 5. Oh shit! So there you go. You look at that. It says line 27. There's an error on line 27. What is it? It's saying the variable R2 referenced before. I don't know what that means. So let's look at 27. What's going on? And it just jumps out. There is an equivalency instead of an assignment. Double equals is equivalence, and 1 equals is an assignment. There are notes in the description. Hey, well, I hope that you guys enjoyed that video and it was informative. For you trolls out there, keep them coming. I think it helps make the thing heavier. I mean, I know there's a whole bunch of different things in the algorithm. Those YouTube people are getting more smart. But for real, I do this as a hobby. I do this to help learn myself, and I would love feedback. And honestly, it would be really dope if I got to like the subscription watch hour stuff and all that I could get paid from this. I don't think I would ever make this a full-time thing. It's not me. But hey, side hustle, right? All right, y'all keep it swifty and swanging and banging, whatever. I don't know. I'm just a weirdo. I hope you guys are comfortable with being weird too. Have a wonderful day and stay safe. Keep loving yourself and those that are around you. Peace.